Welcome to this new episode of the Physics That Heals. The subject we will be talking about today is one of the universal issues that affects everyone and has attracted the attention of philosophers from the ancient Greeks up to our own times. We are talking about an experience with negative implications that serves individuals to grow and is all-embracing. We are talking about pain, an experience we share. Everyone experiences serious pain at least once in a lifetime. It is a phenomenon that allows us to learn that fire burns, so you shouldn't touch it, or that knife cut, so you need to be careful. Pain teaches us how to live in the world. Through it, we evolve and pass on to our children valuable information for life. The ancient Greek philosophers asked what the true nature of pain was and why it was so important for humankind. For example, for Aristotle, pain was the experience that distances us from happiness, while for the Stoics, pain is our response to events over which we have no control. And the concept of Stoicism arises out of this, the endurance of suffering. A more naturalistic interpretation of pain as an experience that teaches human beings is found in Kant and Schopenhauer. But what is pain? The International Association for the Study of Pain defines it as an unpleasant sensory and emotional experience associated with an actual or potential tissue damage. Pain is a subjective personal experience in which multiple factors converge together in the sensation of pain. We have, for example, the sensory component known as nociception, the transmission of the painful information, from the point where it originates to the central nervous system. But no less important is the affective experiential component, which modulates our response to the nociceptive stimulus. Pain is an experience that involves every aspect of the individual, physical, sensorial, and emotional. This makes the response to the nociceptive event very subjective. It is an unpleasant experience that we do not want to continue for long, making it very important to find strategies that can help us to limit pain. Pain is transmitted from the peripheries, from the points where the perception occurs, to the central nervous system. There is no single area dedicated to the perception of pain, but various circuits that interact with each other to process painful information and cause us to experience pain. The complexity of the pain stimulation process means that pain therapy is also complicated. There are various types of pain, for example, neuropathic pain caused by damage to nervous tissue, as can happen in viral infection, like for example shingles. Or secondary pain due to inflammation, which we discussed in the last episode. Pain occurs in many disorders. Think of bone fractures or toothaches. Pain is also a component in serious diseases like tumors or autoimmune disorders. Whatever the origin or nature of pain, what never changes is its function, which is to inform. According to Plato, indicating that a disharmony has occurred. So it is very important to understand the information provided by the pain in order to treat it in the most specific way possible, using ultra-weak electromagnetic fields. It is interesting that electromagnetic fields appear to act on pain in different ways in the nervous system. As in the last video, I will go into a little detail, but don't worry, because it will all make sense at the end. Specific frequencies within the range of extremely low frequency and intensity electromagnetic fields, ELF-EMF, have been seen to increase the production of endorphin and the turnover of serotonin, for example. These two processes play important roles in the perception of pain. Another effect reported in literature is in dopamine turnover, the receptor of which are known to be involved in our response to pain. Also reported in literature is a reduction in the activity of receptors associated with the phenomenon of hyperalgesia. An example that comes to mind is fibromyalgia. so electromagnetic field, appear to have an effect on the central nervous system for the modulation of pain in many different ways. We should also not forget the effects of ELF-EMF on the reduction of inflammation, as we saw in the last episode. So we can act to reduce pain using electromagnetic field in two ways, either acting on the central nervous system or by modulating inflammation. These two effects of ELF-EMF are combined in therapy for osteoarthritis in old age home where I work. Arthrosis is a disease involving chronic inflammation that leads to the degeneration of joints and causes pain. There is no specific therapy against osteoarthritis, and so in medicine we try to treat the main symptom, the pain. A few years ago, with my team of physiotherapists, we investigated the possibility of treating osteoarthritis using ELF-EMF. We observed that not only did the subjects treated exhibit a statistically significant reduction in pain, but joint mobility also improved, and there was an improvement in quality of life from a psychological perspective. So the pain was treated not only as perceived by the central nervous system, but also in terms of inflammation, which is the same approach applied in post-operative contexts. Think, for example, of a femur fracture operation. An inflammation develops around the operation site with associated pain. Using electromagnetic therapy, we can intervene on two factors: reduce the perceived pain and limit the inflammation, so that outcome of the operation is better with the faster recovery. Returning to the hospital in Genoa that I mentioned in the last episode for another example of use of electromagnetic fields. Here we see them applied in therapy for the control of pain in autoimmune diseases. It is interesting to note how the antalgic effect of ELF-EMF therapy can be used in integrated medicine protocols for treating tumors in which ELF-EMF not only has an antalgic effect, but also another one. But we will talk about that in the next episode. Before saying goodbye, I would like to thank you for the numerous email messages to lafisicachecura@ionorisonanza.it. Some of them are really interesting, and I think that in the future we will have an episode dedicated just to answering your questions. Once again, in the description below, you will find links to the bibliographical references used in the creation of this episode. I would like to finish by posing a question. Could electromagnetic fields also help us to treat emotional pain? And finally, a quotation from Anna Sagola. Due to the opaque nature of our senses, we are unable to discern truth. See you next time.